Hello, welcome to the Leverton on Everything podcast, where I, Leverton, literally review everything books, movies, human existence. And today I would like to talk a bit about piracy and enshittification of things, which is a lovely word, which means when things get worse, worse and worse. Um, I had this idea that I would start another podcast where it would be a music review podcast and I would, go through every single album of an artist that was very influential in my life. And I wanted to start with The Doors. So the first I wanted to do it live just so if people had any kind of reaction, they could like ask me questions or whatever. So the first stream was somewhat unsuccessful because I didn't realize that I wasn't actually playing any of the music. And no, I wasn't playing the whole song. I was playing like a little bit of the song and then talking about it. And because if you've never heard The Doors, it's very unique, very specific kind of music. So I was trying to introduce people to their music. The second stream was much more successful on the one hand because I actually was able to play a bit of the sound. Then the day after I uploaded the stream, I get not a copyright violation strike, luckily, but I got copyright, like the content is blocked in certain territories because of the music. And that is really amazing because only 8 people watched that stream. So only 8 people watched that stream, and yet the algorithm on YouTube was able to detect that there was this music that was being played, and because of the music, there would be this, it would be blocked from, promotion and monetization and all of that stuff. I'm not monetized yet, but so I thought that that's really, really strange, and it's just another argument for why I'm going to advocate for piracy here. There was a time in my life when not too long ago, when I was like, piracy doesn't make any sense because there's all of these services that you can use and you can get what you want and you don't have to pay for it that way. But Spotify, if you don't have Spotify Premium, it is horrible. There are ads every song, and it's the same thing with YouTube Music, which is a bit better than Spotify, but if you don't have Premium, you have to literally keep your phone open, so it's killing the battery. So you might think, well, that's just the agreement that you made with those companies, that you listen to the music for free, but then they get something for you, which is the advertisements. Same thing with, I don't know how I feel. Well, I do know how I feel about it. That makes me really angry because you could say like, okay, I'm going to want to listen to these 10 songs. A song is 2 minutes. So you could even make me like listen to an ad every 5 songs or every 10 songs. That's fine. I understand. But after every song, it's ridiculous. And Spotify, it's a bit better because the YouTube music doesn't promote, it doesn't promote itself. Usually the ads are for something else. But on Spotify, it's like, what would be great? No ads. Buy Spotify Premium. And of course, you have the whole thing of like Spotify paying artists like nothing. and Spotify promoting AI artists now, and it's full of junk. I don't have that. I quit Spotify, which is crazy because I'm releasing an album, 2 albums this month, and of course they're on Spotify because they need to be. But I don't personally use Spotify anymore, just for those reasons that I mentioned, and another thing, like I was watching YouTube Shorts, and I've been reading Superman comics and listening to podcasts in a bit in my free time, so I haven't actually watched YouTube Shorts in a few days, and either the algorithm completely forgot what I liked, or YouTube Shorts is also flooded with all of this AI content now. And it's horrible. It's a horrible experience. I don't want to watch AI generated characters react to something, and I don't want to listen to some voiceover that says like, I don't know, and the man didn't realize he was doing this. And it was like, he put that on the internet. He realized he was doing that. That's why it's on the internet. Oh, it makes me so frustrated. And, Netflix and Disney Plus. So Netflix is getting cheaper, but how are they getting cheaper? They're advertising. They're paying, you pay every month for Netflix and you get ads, which is crazy. There's a saying, if the product is free, the product is you, right? But how does that work when the product isn't free and I'm still being advertised to? So the product is still me. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You go to a movie. I went to see Fantastic Four with my daughter a few weeks ago, and great experience, right? And I was amazed because the ads before the movie, usually half an hour, getting longer, right? And usually 80% ads for, commercial products, and then 20% movies. We were a bit late, and it was movie after movie after movie after movie ads, which I love, and then 20 minutes of commercial ads. So what is up with that? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that I'm just really fed up with all of this overt commercialization. And I remember when Netflix started, I remember having an idea, this is how old I am, like when YouTube started and when Netflix started, I thought, great, you'll be able to find a movie or a TV show that you always wanted to watch, and it will be on the internet, and all you have to do is pay like a monthly fee or watch some ads and you'll be able to get it. But try this. Try finding Alf, the sitcom from the 1980s. One of my favorite things growing up. You can find it. It is available to watch. I think it's available on Tubi or Pluto TV, one of those free services with ads from the United States. But I'm not currently in the United States. So there is no legitimate way for me to watch that being in this country. Which, it's ridiculous. So I'm forced to pirate if I want to watch something that I actually like. And I was doing this course, and the course was all about justifications for criminal behavior. And they were saying, piracy, when you pirate, people make all of these justifications, like the corporations are evil, the corporations don't have your best interest at heart, the corporations require you to have 500 different memberships and everything is a subscription now. And it's true, unfortunately. I think Also, what's crazy about piracy is that you have like I remember when you would buy a tape, right? Or a CD, maybe more tapes rather. And there would be quite easily, like the equipment would allow you to record from one tape to another tape. And you could even record over a tape that you didn't like. Just you had to take a little piece of plastic out at the bottom, but you could do that, and it was still piracy, but there wasn't this big hubbub about it because it was clearly for personal use. And there was like these physical things that you needed, right? And you would take tapes and you'd record songs from the radio, which also was piracy, but like no one cared because obviously the content on the radio would be different than the content that you would actually get by, you know, that you would get by buying the album. But now you have these tiny, 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 tiny things, right? Not even the size, like a terabyte of data could fit on my fingernail, on my thumbnail. And so we're supposed to say that this tiny, 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 tiny thing has a real value. And I understand if you're talking about a movie that they just released, or you're talking about a TV show that's ongoing now, or you're talking about a band that makes money now by touring, I could understand piracy might be not the best thing. But if we're talking about the Doors, who have not been a touring band since 1972, which is like years before, not so many years, but 5 years before I was born, and I'm pretty old. They haven't been a touring band since 1972. They have made a lot of money in the interim, but we're supposed to say, okay, well, the only way that I can get Doors music now is to go to Spotify and listen to a bunch of ads, or YouTube Music and listen to a bunch of ads. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And I'm thinking about maybe not pirating, but I'm thinking about owning my own content now, like owning the things that I want to watch. There are people who have terabytes, like hundreds of terabytes of stuff that they have, and I don't need to hoard like movies and stuff. And this is another argument, right? Streaming music is bad for the environment. If you have the files yourself, the only energy you're using is your own energy, right? You don't have to have like go through the internet and whatever. It can be very thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'll post this because YouTube will probably be like, "Ah, you can't advocate piracy on our stuff." Ah. But I wanted to rant, so I have ranted. Thank you for listening to my rant. Bye-bye.